Is it on? Okay, yeah. Good morning. Good morning. Merry Christmas from Divine Love and Life Foundation, LLC. It is I, Tawana Jenkins, and I am out here this morning. Excuse my voice. I might been getting a little bit under the weather due to washing hair, going to go get it braided. Pretty much, but I just want to introduce to you guys my oldest son. I'm not using my what you call that, my prop thing this morning. I'm using another thing to hold my camera, but I want to introduce my oldest son this morning. And Merry Christmas to everyone. Safe travels. Sending peace, love, abundance, as well as some blessings to those of us that are in need. I'm trying to adjust my Santa hat. But anywho, I want to say thank you first and foremost to my babies. Christmas is not just about gifts or whatever, but since my kids know that truly at the end of the day, I am a giver. And I always give regardless of what. My daughter, Tamaya Jenkins, she made me this bracelet. She made this. She have a custom design jewelry gift set that she received, and she opened this and made me this bracelet before she left and crafted whatever. She's heavy into arts and crafts, and she have been this way for many years. So kudos to my daughter Tamaya Jenkins, and I thank her for my wonderful bracelet. And yes, I will rock it. She know her mom gonna rock it. I'm gonna rock it for her. And also, first and foremost, my youngest baby, of course, he just learned about Santa this year. So he was happy. Their father still took them to see Santa this year, and I am very grateful for that because I had a lot going on and still have a lot going on. But as well as, at the end of the day, this is my youngest, to Michael Jr. He's 5 years old, and he was telling me he went to see Santa, so he's very happy about that. Although Santa came for them very early because they left with their father on the 22nd of December. But anyway, he just give me some hugs and kisses, which is fine with me. And as well, my oldest son, my God, my oldest son picked this card out for his mother, as well as designed it to fit for me, pretty much. And I wanted to share this with you guys because this really meant a lot to me, because I always call him selfish sometimes, true enough, but he's working now. And yes, this is his first job, pretty much. So even still, at the end of the day, I carried my son for 18 years so that he can finish school and do whatever he needed to do for him, because that's the way that it's supposed to go. But not saying it would, be that way for everyone, but that's what I choose to do for my children, to give them a head start in their education. But anywho, it says, this season is more than just bright lights and wrapping presents. It's about taking time to appreciate the people who make our lives happier. And that's why I'm thinking of you. And then I got me a little token, some tokens right here. My son give me some money, and I didn't want to take it. I asked him, is he okay? He said, Mama, I'm okay. I got some left for myself. But me as a mother, and my son, truthfully, I am very grateful. I will hold on to this for him. And this is my oldest son. He makes some decisions. He don't be wanting to go with his siblings and his father, but this is my oldest son, Ramondo. I want to introduce on my YouTube channel. Some people may know him. He is an up-and-coming artist. He already have his own Instagram, pretty much. Give them your IG.
You can follow me on Instagram at onewildchild.rj. That's one, the number one, wildchild, dot RJ.
Okay. Well, this is my oldest son. He is heavy into music as well. He's a writer, as well as he's a producer, as well as he also do graphic and design, pretty much, and instrumental beats and all that. He's been doing it since he was about 9 years old. But he started into music when he was about 5 or 6. He also played drums, piano, and he got a long history of music and producing and everything that comes with him, pretty much. And so, at the end of the day, he have helped a lot of other people, true enough, before he helped himself. He have videos and everything out. So please check my son out. But this is my oldest son, formerly known as TYC RJ, now known as One Wild Child RJ. And he tried to bring that wild side out. I had to go upside his head a time or so. But at the end of the day, this is my oldest son. And true enough, pretty much he don't really leave his mama's side. He yesterday I was out, called me 23 times. 23 times my son called me. But we just want to say things in life, it too shall pass. Nothing lasts forever. When you keep molding and grooming someone and you show them that you love them unconditionally, as well as, you support them, through the ups and downs and through the struggles, the right and wrong. You don't, pretty much give up on them, but you let them know, hey, I'm sick of this, and you're going to do this and you're going to do that. But at the end of the day, you do have to fall back sometimes to show people that true love doesn't come easy, whether it be your mother, whether it be your father, whether it be, your children or whomever that's taking advantage or take people for granted. You never take people for granted in this lifetime. So, to enjoy these holidays or to enjoy birthdays as well as Mother's Days and Father Days, to keep on giving, to be the gift of keep on giving, you have to be a receiver as well as a giver. But me, I choose to always give if I can, because that's the way God had built me. But I'm open to receiving, and when I receive, I'm grateful to receive, because that allows me to keep on giving, And so even still with my son, truly and dearly, I appreciate this, because this the first year I didn't get no gift from no man. Normally I would get gift from my children's father, which was my husband, or whichever way, but I'm okay with it all. And I thank my son. True enough, cause him love his mommy. He love his mommy, and I love my children. And this the way it should be. You keep your children close to you, so therefore someone will know how to love you and adore you, as well as your children will do so as well. So basically, I come out here today to share. I have a guardian angel Christmas message from our guardian angels that I was told to come out here to give, pretty much. So I don't know what's going to come up or come out. Give me a second, you guys. Please, I need to sip my tea. This is my mug, my personal mug with Divine Love and Life face on there. And the tea that I am drinking is lemongrass herbal tea, pretty much. And I just added honey and a little ginger, no sugar, pretty much. But you see right here what that says. When I opened that, I was truly blown away, but very thankful. This says, this life is a gift. And I always considered my life as being a gift given to me for the simple reason I could have not been here many times, not due to my negligence, but because of my past upbringing. But as a child, I OD'd off birth control at 3 years old. So as I got older, life for me have been very, very joyous and very grateful, no matter what I go through, how I go through it, why I go through it, whichever way. I'm always grateful to God. I'm always grateful to the people that he bring in my life, pretty much, especially those that help me along the way to, show me things, nurture me, guide me, as well as to protect me. So I'm always grateful for that. And, at the end of the day, my card. At the end of the day, I never take people or anything or anyone for granted, although they have taken me for granted. But, I just give it to God. I give it to God, and I let go and I let God, and I ask him where to go from here. And I, stay prayed up regardless of what. And I don't care what people think and what they may say. If you're not the one that God have truly sent my way to, elevate me, or to move me past the storm. And so I'm always grateful, and I still, even with my enemies, I have a lot of enemies. I've always had enemies. So to have a hater or enemy is nothing new to me. But at the end of the day, to constantly come out here, to come on my YouTube channel, is not new to me, but it's something that God wanted me to do. Pretty much to come out into the world and talk to people, and those of us that can relate, or those of us that I can help and, embrace them or inspire them along the way. Because really, I do things behind closed doors. Although I'm a picture taker, true enough, I love to take my pictures. I've always have to make my memories. But at the same time, I'm not the one seek the attention, I'm not an attention seeker. So as my kids was getting older, my son wanna be in entertainment. My daughter, she's like more like a computer. I call her a computer geek, but she wants to be a YouTuber. She's heavy in pretty much doing web design as well as a gamer. She's a YouTube gamer, not on YouTube right now, but that's what she want to do and want to be. And I can see her doing it for the simple reason she's very computer techno. She's very intelligent when it comes down to computers and stuff. So, and as well, she want to, be a baker. She loves sweet treats and stuff or whatever. So, I just sit back and I always helped others, and, especially my own children. So when I started paying attention to my own children, what they want to do, what they want to be, of course, as a parent, you fall back a little bit. And, that's me. That's just what I did and what I do to pay attention to my children as well as my household, to carry them on and getting them prepped and ready for this world. So sometimes when people take life for granted, it's not easy giving all of yourself to people when they just, constantly take and never give. So that energy pretty much is, it becomes overwhelming, as well as it becomes to the point where God remove you, or he remove them, or they, he or she, or whichever way. But I've learned over the years, it's not personal for me. It's not business. It's of my spiritual journey as well as my spiritual path. And I always been on my spiritual journey. And true enough, I may have lost my way a little bit dealing in my marriage. True enough, because at some point, like I said, a time or so in different videos, my husband and I, that flame wasn't there anymore, as well as, God wasn't in that marriage. And so therefore, when God is not in something for me, it's not easy for me to continuously to go through with it. But it will become more easy for me to leave it alone. Because if I don't, then God make things happen that I have no control over. So when I have no control over things, I'm not going to say it become a burden, but it becomes overwhelming because I already forewarned people. I may not say, well, God going to do this and God going to do that, but I already know what would take place for the simple reason he have already enlightened me to remove myself from a situation or individuals, or don't go around certain individuals or entertain certain situations with certain people. And so therefore, that's what I choose to do to my Father who is in heaven, to be obedient to him, as well as allow him to handle what I may and may not know or see coming, because he intervenes on any and everything, even if he, sometimes had to take people's lives, and it's not anything that I did, is the disrespect that they show to the Father. And so by me being a divine child from the Father, he's not going to allow anything or anyone to ever come between my assignment as well as my mission. And a long time ago, I didn't understand why it was me, or why it was it the assignment to me, or as well as the mission for me. True enough. And looking back on my ancestors and my heritage of my DNA, and a lot of people used to ask me growing up because my hair flowed down my back, and pretty much I didn't have to use chemicals. I didn't use chemicals. It was just a wash and press. And that's the way my grandmother treated me. And she would send me to the hair salon at 4, 5, and 6 years old. Everyone else got perms. I couldn't get a perm. So I used to cry because I wanted a perm, because I felt like getting a perm would have been easier. But my grandmother used to always tell me, you're not getting a perm. You don't need a perm. Perm is not for you. A perm is not for you. So you just get this straightened. And getting that straightened was hours. Getting that straightened was 4 or 5 hours. And I would sit up there with tears flowing down my eyes, pretty much, But my grandmother would point her finger at me sometimes when she would sit in the salon, because the salon was in front of her home. And basically, at the end of the day, she would tell the salon lady, I'll never forget, her name was Miss Ruby. She would call over there and tell her, my other grandbaby, I need to get her hair pressed for Easter. I need to get her hair pressed for Christmas. I need to get her hair pressed for Mother's Day, or whichever day it may be. And, and that lady knew she was going to have a hard time out of me. She knew she was going to have a hard time out of me. But my grandmother already had her switches ready for me. And she would tell me, you're not going to give no fight. You're not going to put up no fight. You're not going to give no lip. You're going to get that big old ball. My hair used to be in a big old ball sitting on top of my head, because that's the way my mama had it majority of the time, because she didn't want to deal with it. So my grandmother, she would say, I'm going to press it out, and it's going to hang. And me being me, I used to go and wet my hair, and it would draw up some more. But it it looked kinky, but my hair was soft. It was soft. But I had a lot of hair, And so at the end of the day, once I would get pressed, I would feel much better. I would slang it left to right, and my eyes would be bloodshot red, or whichever way. But that came from dealing with my DNA. My father was Haitian, mixed with, I guess, Nigerian. I say Creole because his mother was French, and she was a big, bright-skinned woman. But they were more of a Nigerian, African descent. My grandfather was anyway, but my grandmother was more of a Nigerian, French descent, or whichever way, but she was from New Orleans. And on my mom's side, it was Cherokee Indian, Black African American, and Caucasian. So I was mixed with all this DNA. And I was the only one, as far as the female in my family, that carried that ancestral DNA, to where my grandmother didn't play about me. And people didn't understand why, and I didn't either at some point, because she really didn't explain herself. She just was very protective of me, and I thought it was due to my mom's negligence, but it was also because of the roots of in the history of my family. And so along the way, as I got older, one year, my mom took me to one of my cousin's house, and she's dead and gone. Her name was Michelle. May God rest her soul. But she had me around my birthday. It was the summertime, and my birthday is July 9th. And I remember this particular year, I was turning 10 years old. And so my cousin asked me, She said, "Cousin, what you want for your birthday? I don't have much, but I could do something for you." And so at that time, my mom did show up, and she gave me a couple of dollars. And I still stayed at my cousin's house. And I told my cousin, I said, "Well, I want a perm." And my cousin's eyes got big, and she looked at me and she said, "I don't know about that." I said, "I want a perm." And so from there, she did what I asked her to do. And that was our secret, pretty much. And she, went and got a perm, and she permed my hair. Nothing happened. My hair didn't fall out or anything, but it relaxed my hair, and that was the first time I had a relaxer and got chemicals in my head at 10 years old. But that was at my request to my cousin, although she didn't want to because she knew how my grandmother felt. And so I went on pretty much with that perm, and I wanted that perm for a reason, because I knew if I sweated, my hair wouldn't draw up. If I got wet, my hair wouldn't draw up. And so with us at that time, my cousin, she lived in the projects, the west side of Atlanta, Hollywood Court, actually. And pretty much we used to go and turn on the fire hydrants, and that used to run the water out, and we used to, put on little swimsuits or have on trunks or whatever boys would, with no shirts on, and the girls would have on, whatever, and we'll go run through that water pretty much, and, get wet, and my hair didn't draw up. And so it would curl like the Michael Jackson curl, but it didn't draw up. And so, at that point, I became familiar with perms. And from there, I learned to do my own perm. And my grandmother didn't know. She was just under the assumption that my mom was pressing my hair. But at the same time, I was perming my hair. And I learned to perm my own hair. And I kept that hidden from my grandmama till I was at least about maybe 15. And when she found out I was getting perms and relaxers in my head, she had a fit. She had a fit, and, she cussed my mom out, that cousin out, as well as me, But at the same time, she told them that they didn't have no morals. They didn't have no respect or anything for her. And, and for me personally, I was in and out my grandmother's home because that's the relationship that my mom and her had. 1 minute I would be with my grandmother, 1 minute I would be with my mom. But at the same time, my mom kind of allowed me to do certain stuff, but I knew how much stuff to do or whatever because of the things my grandmother did instill in me. But I just knew my grandmother, she ran a tight ship, so certain stuff you ain't gonna do and you can't do because you're not grown. And at the end of the day, pretty much, I'm saving your life is what my grandmother used to always say. It's no need to do things and be something that you're not. Be you. Be authentic. And that's what my grandmother used to tell me. And she was an Indian woman that wore a wig but didn't need to. And I used to tell her about that too. Why would you wear a wig and you got a head full of hair? But I didn't understand my family history of dealing with the Indians having to hide themselves for many years, pretty much, and blend into this world due to what took place in history many, many years ago on how they lost their land, on how they lost pretty much their gold, their royalty, and everything else that they worked so hard to bring and build in this country. And so therefore, when people say Christopher Columbus discovered America, that is a lie. Christopher Columbus did not discover America. The Indians did. They were here first. They were here first, and they helped out Africans. They helped out, the French over in Paris. They helped out, pretty much everybody, the Indians did. They taught them how to do crops. They taught them how to build and create, jewelry. They taught them how to build and create ancestral of their own kind and DNA, and how to be fruitful and how to make, things pretty much, that would carry you on or whatever, to be successful and bring about, coins to do import, export, and to sell and trade. Also, even still to China and other countries and everything. So the Indians was very bright as well as very successful in all areas that they set out to conquer. And that was something that majority of the white man, they didn't like it, and the Indian were warriors. They, pretty much, it was different it was different types of Indians, pretty much. You had your pioneer Indians, you have your Cherokee Indians, and you had other types of Indians as well, and all of them meant something different, but they knew how to come together and make some things happen, not just for themselves, but for their neighbors as well, to help their neighbors, to keep things going and to multiply and be fruitful on this earth as the way God wanted them to, as well as the Israelis, the Muslims, the Jews. So at the end of the day, the Indian didn't see religion. The Indians didn't see color. The Indians didn't see just one man, and an Indian woman, she was an Indian man's equal. She didn't take orders from another man or even her own man. True enough, she had her own way of doing things as well as giving back, but she knew her place as a woman. So an Indian woman was always head of a chief, and so therefore that is the soul that I have, and I've always had this soul. I've always had this ambition about me to carry on as a warrior, regardless of what takes place and what's going on in my life. And my grandmother and my aunts, they knew that, because I wasn't weak, because I wasn't, because I was a little stubborn. I still am, but that's just my nature of my soul, the way God created me. Now, I'm humble to my Lord and Savior. I'm humble to my elders. I'm humble to my ancestors, my grandmommies, my granddaddies, my aunties, my uncles, and those that nurtured me along the way, that I've come in contact with, billionaires and millionaires that is deceased now, that I formerly worked for them, and they set me down and always believed in me. It was, even if I doubted myself, they believed in me, So people have always seen something in me, even when I didn't even see it in myself. And so I'm grateful for that. And I still deal with that as well as in prayer. To be grateful for Mr. Truett Cathy. To be grateful for Mr. Hank Aaron. To be grateful for, the late, great Coretta Scott King, as well as her daughter Bernice King. And, as well as Delta Airlines. To be grateful for the CEO of Delta Airlines, as well as to be grateful for the CEO of Starbucks. Truthfully, as well as, many others as well, Sodexo, Airmark, and my list goes on, because I've always dealt with the right-hand man, I've always dealt with the right-hand man, as well as, even still just a lot that I don't tell people, I don't show people, but it's a lot that comes with me. It's a lot that, I have yet to expose of me. And, but basically I hide myself, pretty much. And at the end of the day, that is something that I will stop doing, because I found myself compromising with the devil. And that is something that my God say, no, we're not doing that. We're not compromising with the devil. We're not hiding from anything. We're not fearful of anything or anyone, And because the only thing that I fear is my Father. And my Father tell me, no, you don't have to fear me, because you're doing my will, as well as it's in my way for you to be and do what I ask of you. And, to give back the way that you're giving. It may not be with financial help, but it could be with spiritually, mentally, physically, And so I'm always grateful to do those things, as well as I know when the enemy is attacking me. And I know when to, strike back if need be. But basically, just sending everyone through this time, even with going through my hardships, going through my trials and my tribulations. God never said that I wouldn't go through things. He never said that I wouldn't have a heartache or any kind of pain or hurt. Although he tried to shelter me and cover me from it. But sometimes you have to go through it to come out of it. And last night, he told me, this too shall pass. This too shall pass, whatever it is. I know what it is, truthfully. And he know what it is because he brought it about my way. But he said, this too shall pass. You will not endure any more hurt. You will not endure anything that is not worthy of me, because that is not the life that I chose and I want for you. And I'm grateful that anything my Lord say, anything my Jesus want for me, I wait on it. I wait for my Lord, because that is my duty to him. That is my duty to them, to wait on it. So I have no problem with removing myself from people or situations that is unhealthy for me, because, that's not me. So if another side of another part of me come out, it's because, at this point I'm striking back. At this point I'm standing up for myself, because I have boundaries and they are healthy, because I am a healthy individual. And mostly, honestly, I do, things that don't involve any types of medicines or drugs. I don't do drugs. No offense to anyone else. I don't drink, pretty much. And if I did try to drink, I sip something maybe once or twice a year, depending on what it is. But at the end of the day, I didn't start that drinking part till I was, 33. Early on, it was Shirley Temper. Shirley Temper is some cranberry juice and a Sprite. That is nothing about that. That is alcoholic. None whatsoever. But that was my drink. If I went to the club or if I stepped out with people, true enough, I would say, give me a Shirley Temper. That's a virgin drink, But at the end of the day, I'm this way for many reasons. I grew up around druggies, drug dealers, as well as, alcoholics and all of the between, prostitution, pretty much. And, at the end of the day, this is why I am conserved. This is why I don't do what they do. So if they say, oh, she do this and she do that, no, she has a natural high. She has a natural high. But, can I hang a little bit? Yeah, I can hang a little bit, but I'm not going to do what you want me to do, because that's not me. And, but basically, at the end of the day, I know how the game go with these men, players or wannabe players and ballers, and at the end of the day, it is what it is for me, truthfully. But at the same time, I know the type of love that I deserve. So yeah, many years ago, true enough, I played the field here and there with a couple of dudes. But even though they wanted to be serious after the fact, I'm not number two, I'm number one. So if I can't be number one and you didn't come correct, it's nothing else that I could say or do, because you had your chance as well as your time. And I don't like to live in my past. I don't like to go backwards and live in a time machine, because that's not me. Although I'm on this spiritual journey due to a past life twin flame soulmate that even still didn't, treat me right as well. But that's okay as well, because at the end of the day, as life goes on, that too shall pass, regardless of what. Because I've tried to make amends. I've tried to get some understanding from his behalf. But at the end of the day, he was reluctant. And then even still, it's still a lot of things that he and I are not on the same page with. So as time move on, I'm not afraid of change. I'm not afraid of starting over. And I'm on this spiritual journey again because, yes, my husband at the time did not treat me fairly as a divine child. And so that was something I knew, and I brought it to his attention. So therefore, I was no longer fighting for a marriage. When you commit adultery, if you step out I could step on, you know. And that's with anyone. If they step out, you shall step on, because they will continuously to step out if you don't step on, because you deserve better, you know. And that's not what a marriage is about. Marriage is about two people, sacred bond. It's about love. It's about harmonious between you two. And if the flame have died, or if the love have died, if you can rekindle that flame, then, you know, the love is still there. It just, some things or some people got in the way. And that was some things that took place with my marriage. I had a lot of people hating on my marriage. I had a lot of people jealous and envy of my marriage. As well as my husband, he wasn't a God-fearing man. So he didn't believe in God to upstand for himself and to have boundaries for his marriage. As well as, you know, a lot of things my family, my immediate family, was bringing, especially my mom, was bringing into my marriage. Although she didn't even want me to marry. But God allowed me to marry, and God wanted me to marry, because I'm worthy of being married and having a man's last name that is worthy in the eyes of the Lord. But bottom line is, things took place in my marriage where people wanted to control my marriage. And, you know, although I'm standing up, but as a woman, when you submit to a man, if a man can't stand up and be a man, the God-fearing man that God is asking and calling for him to be in that marriage, God will destroy it. And that's what he did. He destroyed my marriage to relieve me from anything toxic, anything negative, anything that was forming and working against me, while my husband was supposed to be nurturing and caring and standing up and protecting me and having boundaries for our marriage. And he did not, you know. And that was okay with me, because I know anything my God put me through, as well as he'll bring me out of, it's not for me to be in shame. It's not for me to be in regret. It's not for me to hold grudges against anyone. And that's why I can sit here today and say I made amends with my children's father, as well as, you know, we co-parent, but his business is his business, my business is my business. And I will go on when it's time to love and be with who God want me to be with, if need be, when that time comes. But until then, I'm not rushing to be in anything. I'm not rushing to look for anyone. At one point, I kind of got into my little lustful mode with a certain individual that I felt that was speaking to my soul. But when that individual, you know, true enough, showed me that, you know, hey, you got some things you still need to clean up. And I had to take a step back and pay attention to myself and say, this is right. This is right. Slow down. Calm down. Get everything in order, as well as close doors. Continuously to close doors. Continuously to go through your transformation as you grow, as you learn, as well as give yourself more of your time to self-love and self-care. But at the same time, you can also have a partnership with someone else. And it don't have to be a sexual partnership. It can be based on business. And that's where I'm at now, to seek other partnerships with other individual business-wise. And it's not sexual, you know, true enough, because this was something that's supposed to take in place with my twin flame soulmate and I, but he too allowed a lot of people, and he brought a lot of people into our spiritual connection, that at the end of the day, you know, he couldn't stand up for himself, he couldn't think for himself, and he didn't do anything of what our ancestors, as well as our Father God, who created us, to come back and to do, you know. And so therefore I had to do everything on my own. I had to carry everything on my own. And so therefore God also give me the will to, you know, find me a soulmate, or for a soulmate to come to me. And so now with my mother passing, they have me in solitude as well as in grieving mode, pretty much, as well as I knew it was coming, because I kept having the birds to come to me in flocks. You know, it was many birds. Pretty much if I was out shopping, or if I was out with my children, you know, at the park or something, the birds was coming, and I knew what that meant. It sent me a message of death. That is what the birds mean. They sending a message, and majority of the time it's of death. And so I was prepping myself as well as preparing myself for my mom's death. And this is why I'm able to come out and continuously to be in good spirit, as well as, to embrace what all is taking place in my life and transforming in my life, as well as, to send peace to my siblings, because I wasn't not my mother's only child, at the end of the day, but I am her oldest, and we, come from different fathers, true enough, but at the end of the day, I'm sending them some peace as well as love. And I prayed this morning for God to send his angels as well as my mom to come to us each individually to console us, as well as nurture us and protect us and guide us as a mother's love in spirit. So therefore, I'm not a selfish individual, but can I say no? Yes, I can. I can say no, as well as I can, pretty much cut you off with no hesitation. With no hesitation, I could cut some things off and some people off, and I have no problem or no gumptions about doing it. But bottom line is, I'm getting to that point where I'm willing and ready to invest in other partners, to bring in and share my ideas as well as my vision with people that, is like-minded, like I myself, in business oriented, not those that can't handle business and they speak about it, but they ain't got a pot to piss in and a window to throw it out of. I'm not talking to you, and really right now at this point, I'm not talking to my siblings because they don't know what to do either. Only thing I can do, if that time allow, if God opened that door, because I can't say I can open that door. If God opened that door, and only at this point, I will want them to grieve. I want them to get some understanding, to get on their spiritual path, for God to protect and guide them and nurture them and talk with them, walk with them and lead them. All that I'm not able to do. But at the same time, eventually, once I am fully free from things and, toxic ways of others, or, wishing evil or any kind of death or anything upon me, that's not going to happen. Because God got me here and want me here for a reason. So before I fall over or anything happen to me, it will happen to those that praying for that upon me. Trust me. And that's something I don't even like to even speak on or talk about, dealing with death. But that would be something that would happen to you or your loved one, wishing it upon me, So I just want people to be aware of the evilness and the wickedness that they carry over onto others, and not thinking that that's not the godly way. The godly way is to love, honor, obey, as well as peacefulness. And anything else after that, you're blessed abundantly to have a blessed and a gifted life, if you choose to do so. And all of us don't choose to do so. And that's okay with me, because I've seen all walks of life. So I try not to judge. I don't want to judge. But if I have to, if you come at me the wrong way, yes, I can, break it down. I can break it down in so many ways, because that is one of my natural born gifts that my God have truly blessed me with. So therefore, I try to always be up and upbeat. I try to always be more of God, truly, to be within my spirituality and to see things the way my God want me to see it. But when the devil comes to steal, kill, and destroy, and I know my Lord comes to give me life more abundantly, because that is what is chosen for his pure child, okay? So I can't allow the devil to play with my mind and my mental, or to ever take anything that you didn't earn, And so it was a lot of people in my spiritual connection. And he never stood up for his divine feminine. He left me as an option when I kept telling him I'm not an option. And he knew that. And I wouldn't show him everything with me for the simple reason it wasn't a need to prove to you when you wasn't the gift. I was. I'm the gift. And I told him I could be a gift to any man that is worthy in God's eyes. And that's something that I know. I knew that. So when a man think he's a gift, and some men are a gift, I'm not going to say they're not, because it's a lot of women that's not worthy. It's a lot of women that don't know their place. It's a lot of women can't nurture and be loving, as well as, be more of Mother Mary, pretty much, as well as, at the end of the day, she's more like Eve, truthfully. But at the same time, it's still the principle. Some men know their worth and they are a gift to a woman. But when the woman is the gift, and that man thinks he's the gift and he want to torment or torture a woman, God is not going to allow it. For the simple reason, you wasn't worthy from the beginning. She was going to heal. She was going to nurture. You was supposed to lead, protect, and provide, but everything else was going to fall in place because she's the gift. And that's why I tell people to deal with me. You got to be of God, or you got to know that Bible. Because not saying that God don't allow me to be me, and when I'm me, true enough, I still might even tell, give some messages, because that's the downloads and the enlightenments that is coming within me from God to say, hey, still tell this person this or tell that person that, and I do it. But at the same time, I am me, and he allowed me to be me and live my life, but I didn't live it as far as so reckless and so careless to where I didn't know who I was, where I was, and what I'm doing, and who I'm doing it with. That have never been me, and it will never be me. So I'm just grateful, always grateful, always loving, and I know that I am blessed beyond measure, as well as, I'm grateful for my ancestors. I'm grateful for their ancestors, as well as I'm grateful for God giving me my life, and continuously to put me on my spiritual journey, as well as to enlightening me on who and what's around me. Even when people think they talking, but, at the end of the day, what you talk about someone, it's your own reflection. Majority of the time, it's your own reflection. And that's something people need to know when they need to clean up around their door, when they need to clean up around their door. On top of those that want to take. You have to earn something. Because if you never earn anything that you're taking, it will all dwindle away in a blink of an eye. Within a blink of an eye. Because you didn't earn it. And so that's something I instill in my children. Earn something. Work hard for something. To achieve something. It don't have to be the way they doing it. Let it be of the way that you feel is right for you, and you can reach that. You could conquer that, and God will bless that. Everybody is not out to have the same amount of money. Everybody is not out to have the same type of fashion. Everybody is not out to have the same type of homes and cars. We have to be different. That's why they have different materials of a home, different materials of a car, different materials of, financing. You have people live paycheck to paycheck. Long as they're happy and they're blessed, it shouldn't matter to you. People live with thousands of dollars. Long as they're happy and they're blessed in the eyes of the Lord, and they're grateful, and they constantly telling God, thank you. Because, see, you don't do that on your own. And that's the thing I have to tell people. God have blessed you to get a little bit more, or to come from that hole and get in that middle, to be comfortable. Be grateful. Never say I did this by myself, I did that by myself. No, you did that by the goodness and the grace of God, who have kept you mercifully. Nothing we do is by ourselves. It's all glory be to God. The credit should go to him. Although he allowed you to speak on it. He allowed you to say, hey, I did this and I did that, but by the Spirit that moves you and carry you. If people out here, you've been clean for 1 year, praise Almighty that you're not drinking, you're not drugging, you're not prostitution, you're not, doing what the devil wanted you to do. If you're out here, you're 20 years clean, glory be to God. Not just of you, but glory be to God to keep you clean, to keep you pure, to keep you understanding before he called you home. You got your will and your way to be within his will and his way, to where he can bless you and say, my child, you have won again. by his goodness and his grace. Nothing we do is easy, because that's a part of being human, to make mistakes. That is why he died for our sins, for us to repent. But you can't keep constantly doing the same thing that was of the dark, and you want to bring it to the light and say, God, I messed up again. But you're doing the same thing, the exact same thing that he saved you from a year ago, 6 months ago, 3 months ago. Now that ain't how he worked. Now he gonna forgive you, and he gonna cleanse you if need be, when he asks an angel to do so. But he will not cover you if for your salvation, if you have not repented and you have not changed of your ways, for him to give you something different, to do something different, be something different, go somewhere different. He will still see you as not ready. But he's going to love you. While you changing, he going to stay the same. But will he make it harder for you? Yes, he will. And people say, well, God don't make things. Yes, God make it hard. If you don't know the Bible, then you don't know my God. My God will put you through challenges. He will put you through hardships. He will make you struggle to see as if of his way, to see if you're ready, to see if you're worthy, to see if you understand his will for your life and your purpose, to be happy, to be loved and cherished, as well as acknowledged before he say, come home, my child. God will whoop you just as well as the devil. The devil gonna whoop you and laugh at you. God will make you struggle and punish you and pray with you in spirit, because that is where he'll make you do. Fall on your knees and give glory be to him. Worship him and only him. You can't have two gods when God stepped in and he done saved you. You can't worship the devil and God at the same time and live double and multiple lives, because that is not of God. So when God say, I've saved you to be wholesome, I've saved you from the streets to get off them drugs and alcohol, I've saved you from the fame and fortune that have destroyed you because of greed and envy, I've saved you once again from the violence and the wickedness that you was dibbling dabbling in. But when he bring you to the light, you say, okay, I'm good. I'm going back to the dark and I want to do this and do that. God ain't going to play with you, because he ain't got to. He's your creator. He's the master of all masters, the most high God, Jehovah Jireh. He have no reason to make a plea and a deal with you because you want to deal with the devil. And that is why I do what I do. After 20 years ago, I was very young. I dealt with the individual dealing in the streets, and that was something my grandparents did not want for me. They didn't want that for me. I told them I would never. I made a promise as a child. I won't deal in the drugs. I won't be with a drug dealer. I won't do this. I won't do that. My grandparents seen it, where I was being taken down through that on the count of the person that was supposed to nurture and guide me and protect me. I wind up dealing with that drug dealer. But it wasn't long. Although it was about maybe 1 year, a year and a half, 2 babies came out of that situation. And I loved and nurtured them, protect and guide them with my whole life. With my whole life. And although my daughter was born with the enlarged heart, because I knew the promises that I made to my grandparents. I knew the promises that they made me make to God as a little girl. They didn't want me to be in that life. I was supposed to have been a criminal lawyer. Not for the money, but because I was dealing with a lot of criminals, crooks and thieves. I was dealing with a lot of things that wasn't part of God, wickedness, evilness. Growing up, I seen it. And I would talk to the adults, we would sit down and have conversations. And they would cry because I am a child, giving them these messages when I see this drug and alcohol and I see this abuse. But although I dealt with that drug dealer, I begged and I plead and I prayed for him to come out these streets. Although if we would never be together, true enough, I couldn't be with you. I can't be with you because I knew the promises I made as a child. And I knew how God was working in that situation as well as my grandparents. Although my mother tried to keep me in that situation. Wickedness, greed, envy, jealousy. And I know what the Bible said about the mother and the daughter. True enough. So I knew as I was battling in that storm, it wasn't going to be good to officially close that door. Although the door got closed, he wound up going to prison. I wound up having to move on and raise those 2 babies by myself, which I didn't mind because I had a peace of mind. At the same time, I was just listening to my God and my God only. Although I had a lot of distractions, men, so-called friends, my mom still, once again, pulling and tugging. And I told God, if it ain't of you, I don't want it. And so therefore, I didn't deal with these men. I dated, true enough, but I didn't get myself caught up. And I didn't date as much because my kids came first. They was number one in my life outside of myself in that job and putting God, falling on my knees every morning, every night. And I had my own place to stay. A man couldn't stay with me. He couldn't tell me anything to move up in my apartment. And it wasn't due nothing from no government. It was something I worked hard for and I paid for. And if I had to be on the schedule 6 days a week, Starbucks wasn't open on Sundays where I worked because I didn't play by my Sundays, having my Sundays off to worship my God and be home with my kids. But bottom line is, at the end of the day, a man didn't give me anything, and not even the one that I buried them kids with. And so therefore, when he went to do his prison time, I went on with my life to do my time, as well as to be a mother and a father to my children and ask God to console them and anoint them and protect them and guide them from any hurt, harm, and danger. Because even still, I had enemies. And my main enemy was my mother. I'm not afraid to say that. She was my main enemy. And it's been that way, was that way for many, many years. But also, at the end of the day, God nurtured and protected me. Where she wanted me to fall, he always would pick me up. He would always show me to be blessed in her face, regardless of what. And so therefore, I've learned certain stuff. I was always still honorable to my mom, whether she wanted me to be or not. But I'm not fighting with you no more, And my mom and I, we had fisticuffs. I'm not afraid to say it. She put her hands on me, I put my hands on her. Because she would provoke me. Want to, bust me up and fuss me up, for no reason. And that's another reason I couldn't deal with her. Because if I got to put my hands on you as my mom, although you my mom and you treat me like a woman in the street that you don't even know, like a stranger, that bothered me. Because I'm not here to chastise and fight with you. We supposed to been bonding and having a relationship, and you didn't nurture, you didn't guide, you didn't protect, and that was okay as well, because what you didn't do, your mother did it. And I'm so grateful to my grandmother. I'm so grateful to both of them. One left by the time I was 7, she had a heart attack. And that was my grandmother that was French, more of a Nigerian and Creole descent. She had a heart attack and passed when I was 7 years old. And so from there, her children, my grandfather, as well as my dad was in prison. They went downhill. But I still had a praying grandmother. My mom's mom prayed me through a lot of things. And we didn't even have to speak. She was sending her love and her mercy and her grace, asking God to guide me and protect me, as well as I was doing the same for myself, because she taught me as a little girl to pray. That grandmother taught me to pray. That grandmother sent me to church. My father's grandmother taught me to cook, as well as she taught me to pray and to be grateful. So I'm grateful for both of my grandmothers, as well as my godmom. I can't leave her out. That was my foster mom, Mrs. Vickers. And I dealt with her for 2 years. And them 2 years felt like a whole lifetime, She did so much for me in those 2 years. And I am grateful for her because she was of Caucasian and Black American. She was a mixed breed as well. And she prepared me for my mom as well when I wanted to go back home. And I didn't allow her to adopt me. But I'm very, very grateful for these three women who have touched, as well as my auntie Pat, Patricia Thomas Bonds, my aunt. She loved me as if I was her own. But it really started truly and dearly with those four women. Never judged me, never left me out on my own, and never left me hanging if need be. But I had gotten myself to the point where I didn't need neither one of them. And I don't remember really calling either one of them as much by the time I was 16 years old. My aunt was so worried about me because I didn't call her anymore. By the time I was 16, she would come on my job just to come on my job and see how I was doing and to see me glow and shine. And I'm very grateful for that because she knew that I was carrying myself and taking care of myself regardless of what. God was protecting and loving me for me to shine and keep going and always be of his will. So, and I'm very grateful, and that's why I give back. That's why I help children in need, because I know a lot of situations. I've been through it, and I've seen it. I've been there, saw that, done that. And, as well as I let people know, life ain't what it seems when you see this smile. This smile is not of a materialistic, and that's why I don't wear false teeth, or I didn't get the false teeth and all this and that. I have my real teeth still, for the simple reason this smile means something to me. It means something to me. I used to suck my thumb growing up. I sucked my thumb for 17 years until I really started getting an interest into boys at that time. But my father and his brother, they put hot sauce on my finger, any kind of hot sauce. It didn't matter. They put jalapeno peppers and all that on my thumb to keep me from sucking my thumb, because they used to say, oh, you're going to mess up your smile. You're going to mess up your smile. But I didn't care. My thumb was my best friend, and I learned to suck both of them. I learned to suck both of them to console me, throughout the years, up until I was 17 years old. And so, at the end of the day, I made a vow to God, regardless of what, even having those 3 accidents. Each time I bumped my head and hit my mouth. And I was angry about that. I was very angry about that. But at the end of the day, truthfully, I look at myself and say, girl, at 38, we have come a long ways, and I'm grateful for it all, and I'm blessed for everything and everyone, even still to have met my children's father. At that time, God allowed us to communicate and come in contact with each other, true enough, and, I'm grateful for the 16 plus years that he and I had, regardless of what, because it taught me some things about marriage. And I was the first to say I wanted to be married, but I didn't want kids before I got married. But it wound up happening backwards, And of course, my husband was not my first 2 children father. But that is also why I asked God to bless and forgive him. It's because, truthfully, he helped me with them 2 babies. And he watched them grow and nurtured and protected them, regardless of what that he did do. And mentally, physically, emotionally, my children loved him and grow with him. And I was grateful for that, because I didn't have to worry about him doing anything to them. I didn't have to worry about him hurting or harming them or anything. His soul was good. His mind was good. His heart was pure. And so therefore, he and I built off of that. And so I'm grateful for that. I was very grateful, and I'm still grateful for that, regardless of what. And that even still, all that he wasn't, is what I know God is telling me that next man needs to keep me on my spiritual path as well as my spiritual journey, because I am meant to be shared with multiple people physically, but not sexually. Okay? But at the end of the day, I am grateful for life, and this is what I tell people when things could have been worse. Always be grateful. God has been a doctor in the courtroom. He has been a doctor in the hospital. He has been a lawyer in the courtroom. He has been a mother when we're motherless. He has been a father when we're fatherless. He has been a confidant. You know, at the end of the day, he's our comforter. Pretty much when we're in need and we want to lust, he keeps and consoles me. And I pray every day not to be lustful for these men, not to be out here pretty much in that area of life where I, growing up as a teen to a young adult, I didn't mind cutting a man off and replacing him with another one the next month. I don't do that anymore. After getting in my marriage and settling down for all these years, everything that even I thought I couldn't be in my marriage, I was that and then some, So it wasn't anything that I did. Truthfully, true enough, by the time my so-called twin flame came around, my marriage was already over. It was already over. And I knew that, and that's why the twin flame came around, because God sent somebody supposedly to take the place of, at that time, my husband. And we both were married. We both were protecting our marriage, as well as where he's at. He's able to have multiple wives and multiple women and do whatever he wanted to do. And I was like, well, wait a minute. This is not what I do. You see me with one man only. Before you came along, we talk, we laugh, we have chemistry, but you didn't see me bringing men into my home and in and out my legs. So I'm not going to allow you to mistreat me, because this is not what God wanted for you to do. God wanted you to clean up your life and become a wholesome man, as well as, I'm gonna be honest. I'm scared. I'm scared to even touching that, because he was dealing with women giving themselves away. He giving himself away. And here I am. I'm not, I'm the only thing that's conservative. I'm the only thing that is pure. So, it's hard for me to deal with people that don't love themselves like I love me. And that's why I'm getting out my marriage, because if you stepped out, I'm stepping on. And even in a divine connection, if it wasn't divine in the eyes of the Lord, and so much toxicity and so much people had so much to say or whatever, this was what God wanted. I didn't go to him. He came to me. As well as we never met. We didn't have sex physically. It was a spiritual transcendent, which means a spiritual sexual transcendent. But although he manipulated and he tried to embarrass me, as well as destroy me and even help to kill me. And those are things that I know, as well as to gossip and try to talk about me when it wasn't anything to talk about, because I like my life. I love my life. I love me. So all that I didn't have or I don't have, I don't mind working for it. But I'm not materialistic, and I wasn't going to break my neck for no man, because that's not what a real woman do. And I wasn't selling my soul, because that's not an option. But bottom line is, when you sell your soul, be prepared for the consequences of your actions. Be prepared for God to punish you for your actions. Be prepared that you won't get what you once wanted, as well as what you needed. And those things take place when you don't hear to God's every command. And that is why I move right, I talk right, I do right, not only by the Spirit of the Lord, but for my neighbor, or for my friend, or for, my children, most importantly. So I'm okay with my life. I'm okay with things going on or taking place around or in my life. To go through a transformation, for God to keep on healing, as well as consoling me to become a better me, and to, for me to keep helping others and tell my story, or, something they can relate to as well. I'm not afraid of change. Like I said, I'm not afraid of starting over. I'm not afraid of walking alone. I've walked alone many years. Even in this marriage, I walked alone. And that's not the way it should be. And that's what I used to, tell people. At the end of the day, if a woman has to do it all on her own, she got to be the mother. She got to be the father. She got to be the comforter. She have to be the nurturer, the nurse, the doctor. She have to be everything in a marriage. Why be married if you have to be everything? Marriage works two ways, and it's supposed to be a sacred bond that God had bonded you to for the rest of your life. And that's why I take marriage very serious. And I took my marriage very serious, as well as my duties as a wife and a mother. Although I will always be a mother because I was a mother before I was a wife. So nothing and no one will ever come between that. But the bottom line is, have I grown up a lot more? Yes, I have. Do I know better? Yes, I do. Am I ashamed of what I went through? No, because I'm not the first and I won't be the last. But I know for me moving forward, to have my happiness and to be in love, as I give unconditional love, but to be in love with a man that will love and nurture and honor and cherish me and favored me the way that God asks man to love his wife like Christ loved the church. I know what I'm looking for now, or I know what should come towards me that will embrace me and open up my soul for God to say that is the one. And so until then, I'm holding on, I'm holding out. But at the same time, I know what it should be now. A God-fearing man. He ain't got to be perfect, but he needs to be worth it. In a sacred union for me to be with that individual. And that's why I'm on my spiritual journey as well. Because God had already told me, on this spiritual journey, you too can still be in a divine connection with a soulmate, but he still would be a divine masculine. And I am grateful for my God telling me that, because he still would be worthy in God's eyes for me to be blessed and nurtured the way God wanted me to be. So that's why I'm not afraid or worried about my personal, supposedly twin flame journey, for the simple reason I can move on and be with another divine masculine as a soulmate, but it still would be a divine union. So I am grateful for that as well. But I will get off right now, you guys. But I just wanted to share that with you guys on this wonderful, blessed Christmas, as well as sending love, peace, joy, and abundance. I'll be back later, maybe, to do a reading before I get my day started. But I just want to let you guys know life goes on. Cherish life, and life is a gift. Life is a gift, and some of us, our lives are more anointed than others. But at the end of the day, just know, life is worth living, as well as life is worth giving, and life is worth receiving, as well as, always listening and being in the will of God. Never let nobody take you from the will of God. Because when they take you from God, they take you from your mission. They take you from your assignment, as well as love and peace in your life, and put you somewhere you will regret. So always listen to the command of the Lord. And signing off from Divine Love and Life, sending everyone peace, love, and abundance, as well as blessings. Hopefully I will be able to come out and do the Guardian Angel read later on. Pretty much, or once I get myself together and re-cleanse my energies, whichever way. But I thank you guys, and just looking forward to 2022. Amen. Thank you.